Hello and welcome to episode 9 of Friends from Film School. I'm Luke Pilgrim.
I'm Brad Kennedy.
And I'm Ellis Treese.
So right off the bat, we're going to address why everyone looks like lobsters today.
Yeah, for our visual YouTube viewers.
Yeah.
People who listen on Spotify, Apple, Google Play, whatever, y'all are probably like, oh,
I don't care.
dang,
But
I don't know anything about this, but
if you're watching it, you can see Ellis looks kind of like Donald Trump. He's got super white around his eyes, super red everywhere else. Because yesterday we were at a shoot and it ended up going a little longer than expected.
I think too, more than anything, it was the fact that like it's the first sunny day of maybe the whole year
Ever.
Yeah.
and we just didn't even think about
Sunscreen.
But
Not to mention we live in a dungeon most days where we edit.
I was going to say, we've been editing for like a month and a half or 2 months straight. So, like, going out in the sun for the first time, not preparing, probably wasn't smart.
Yeah.
It was a shock.
It's fine. It was like kind of cloudy later in the day, and like
Yeah.
the temperature was like 50s.
Yeah.
Didn't really think of it. Came back,
Man.
roasted.
I like showering this morning, just like letting water touch my bald head just hurt.
I was
Yeah.
so
gonna say
much.
I have hair and like Luke has hair, so like the it kind of provides like a buffer
Yeah.
for like the
Yeah.
top of your head when you're under the shower.
Dude.
You're just like full on just taking
Like,
the water like impact.
As soon as I was like turning the water on, I'm like, I'm going to regret this.
Yeah.
But it's like necessary to waking up.
Like while we were at the shoot, my face was hurting because I went on a hike this weekend where I already got sunburnt. I was out hiking for hours, and then yesterday we're out shooting. I can feel the sun just sort of beating down on me, and I knew it was burning even more. The hike though was insane because I got the worst blisters on my heels ever because I guess I wore boots that weren't really broken in. But man, people on hikes are the nicest people out there on the trail. Two different people stopped to help me, gave me Band-Aids. It was awesome. They were super nice. But they probably had coronavirus on those Band-Aids, so now thanks a lot, I guess.
Well, as long as you just don't touch me, we're good.
But yeah, my heels. So that was like yesterday going into that shoot. I was already had my heels bandaged up.
Yeah.
So I didn't even think about sunscreen.
Dude, not having like shoes broken in and then having to go walk a lot is the worst. I remember, you remember Night at the Movies last year when I left my shoes at your apartment? Okay, so I was going to a convention right after the event, and I left.
And you're staying in Atlanta that whole weekend, right?
Yes, I'm staying in Atlanta the entire weekend, and I went to the event in dress shoes and like a full suit, and I left my normal shoes at Brad's apartment, and then I forgot to get my shoes and then went straight to Atlanta. So I was at a convention where you walk around for 8 hours a day with dress shoes, and that was it.
And like cargo shorts.
And cargo shorts. So it was literally t-shirts, cargo shorts, and dress shoes. The stupidest looking ensemble that you could have. So I walked about 3.5 miles to like the nearest shoe store in Atlanta to like go buy shoes, and like I just bought what they had, and they were not comfortable. They like constricted your feet.
What was worse, dress shoes still, or?
I think the dress shoes still would have been worse, but it was so painful to walk around in those all convention. I just didn't look dumb, so that that was a plus.
Carly, my sister, corrected me. She said I told the story wrong last episode, and I think I still got it pretty close. But I was like a little kid. I don't really remember what happened, I guess. But
Except for the fear.
Yeah, exactly, just the fear. And if you didn't see the last episode, I told a little story about my sister terrifying me as a child, and we were like in the bedroom late at night, and I thought that I saw the light like reflecting off of her retainer, and I said something like, you I didn't know you had braces or whatever, and she goes, I'm not Carly. Okay, so she scares me. She said actually it was because of her voice, the way the retainer made her kind of like a lisp, I guess. I was like, you sound different, like why do you sound like that? And I was like, you don't sound like yourself. And she said, that's because I'm not Carly.
Gotcha.
So either way, whatever, I've corrected it now. So the
You hear
story
that,
is
Carly?
out there.
It has been corrected.
And wearing a retainer, it's hard. Like, it really is one of those things when you wear your retainer, you gotta go to bed, because if you're talking to people,
Yeah.
it is like, they're like, why are you talking with a lisp?
Like I said last podcast, if you just don't wear it, then you don't have to worry about it.
Have you ever seen that game where you open your mouth really wide? Oh, I don't
Don't
know
they
what,
do that on Ellen or something?
yeah.
Oh yeah, because the Game Grumps did that, and like they like filled his mouth with like M&Ms and stuff, like when his mouth was,
And he
like,
had it wide open.
yeah,
like,
and he was like trying to chew it or whatever. Have you
Oh.
seen that ever?
no.
No.
Oh man. Okay.
It's pretty funny though, because you can't
Yeah.
say like the
Yeah.
anything that starts with a B or something. You can't do it. Like you can't
Yeah,
close
we have
your
that.
mouth.
We've done that with some of the kids at the church.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
I
don't
forget
really.
what the game's called, but
I don't want my mouth that open. Honestly,
wouldn't
I don't really
either.
want people looking at my mouth that close. You know,
Yeah, you get
what
enough
about
of that at
your,
the dentist.
I was about to say, what about the dentist?
that's okay. They're
That's their
they're
job.
certified. Yeah,
I just don't like the dentist. I think we talked about it before, either off podcast or on it. I don't remember. I hate the dentist, and I just hate that there's someone's fingers just all up in your mouth for
Did
like
you
an
have
hour.
a traumatic experience?
No,
or
I've just
has
never-
it always been that way?
I've just never liked them
that's
ever.
it's interesting too because usually it's like an older generation that hates the dentist because when they were kids it was way more scary. There was a lot more of this like sounds,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know. Nowadays it's like the tools and everything are way more advanced. So usually like younger generations aren't as scared of the dentist as people were.
It's not.
years
I just
ago.
don't like someone all up in my mouth with like a bunch of metal tools and their fingers, and they're just poking around.
Well-
I'm like, look, you're getting way too personal right now. All right.
To each his own, you know.
I mean, yeah. I mean, yesterday you did say that buying into a payday bar, the peanuts were going to break your teeth, and they're like
Yeah.
the softest peanuts ever.
All right, everyone out there, I want you to tell me if eating a payday bar is worth it, because I feel like it's way too crunchy, way too many peanuts, and it sucks to eat. So,
Are they supposed to tell you in the comments?
yes, they're going to tell us in the comments, do payday bars suck
Yeah.
or are they good?
Is that the question of the week?
That is the
Brand
question
new,
of the week.
brand new segment.
Yes. Do payday bars suck? Yes or no?
I'm going to tell you right now that yes, they do suck because I can't eat them because I'm allergic. so-
Exactly. See, 2 against 1, Brad.
Okay,
So they suck. All right, I have a couple of links I sent you.
Links.
We haven't talked about this on the podcast, I don't think, but we read an article about the Mandalorian and how they did the visual effects. I didn't realize though the extent to which they used this digital wall for their background. Essentially, if you have never seen anything about this, they have the ability now to kind of like project, but it's basically a big LED wall where you're seeing a background that's been computer generated
in real time.
in real time. It can move. You can move the camera and it can move with it, or it's just it's static back there like it's part of the background. And they're using gaming engines or
They use
whatever.
an
right?
Unreal Engine.
Unreal. There you go. And anyways, we got a video here. We can watch some of it, and it really goes into detail. But they used it for all types of interiors, like stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, man,
Yeah.
like the spaceship interiors, all kinds of things
Watch
that
this.
you don't realize.
Okay.
Part of what's been fun about collaborating on The Mandalorian with Lucasfilm and Disney is that we have been able to see through a few technical innovations and a few firsts that I think are going to have a lot of impact on the way television and movies are made moving forward. In partnership with ILM
That's so cool.
and Epic, we have
ILM's
put together
awesome,
a
dude.
system whereby which we can have game engine real-time render and video wall technology coming together
So cool.
to create a backdrop for
Look at that.
the big
See, the
beautiful
craziest
world
thing
of
to
Star
me
Wars.
is I remember
volume
a
is
few years
21
ago
feet
at
tall, it's
the
75.
what was it, the Georgia Film Festival. I took our intern at the time, Kyle, to the special effects panel or anything. I don't know. Were you there, Ellis, for that one? And this guy,
Was that the one with Moonshine? Or
no, it wasn't Moonshine. But I forget the guy's name. But he had worked on the Matrix. He was part of the team that did
Oh.
the Bullet Time with Neo. But he was talking about, and he brought up a video of Star Wars specifically using the Unreal Engine. But it was like everything was created. Even the stormtroopers. So it's like, it's crazy to think. I kind of saw a little bit of that, being discussed a couple of years ago, and now seeing, them actually do it.
Yeah, it's
in
like
diameter, run by 7 machines, pumping the visuals onto the screen that's being created.
So this
in
place,
pre-production,
this
and can be
like
on the
that
screen
spaceship
within
interior was
24
Wow.
hours
not
of
real.
being finaled.
correct me if I'm wrong,
incredibly
but
impressive when you first walk
the
out
ship is
because
real,
it
right?
completely
Whenever
surrounds
he's
the peripheral
interacting with
vision.
it, like at least the ramp part.
Part of it is real,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like part of the ramp.
So they'll build
And
partial
you
sets.
really
But look,
quickly
this the
forget
cave.
that you're
that's not real.
indoors and you're not
No
out
way.
on
That's
the
LED.
planet's
See that?
surface.
Yeah.
It feels like a real three-dimensional environment surrounding you.
Yeah,
because
that
it
was
is
the
a
one I was so
three-dimensional
shocked by.
environment.
So what's
You
cool
can
too is
allow
like
your key creatives to
I wonder how like they got those. Actually, if it's a projection screen, the reflections in his helmet. Remember when we
It's
watched
all
like
pro-
episode
yeah.
1? The reflections, if he's wearing a real helmet, do you think it's like the reflections of the LED screen?
Well, that's the
that
thing
they-
is most of the reflections and most of the light is coming from the LED screen. Like they're using it
all
to
make
light the
decisions
scene a lot of
together
times.
so that the shots
gotta be really
are
bright
captured
for
entirely
LED
in
screen.
camera, which allows for a better performance.
And what was so exciting about this is by bringing those people together, things started to click. And we started to realize, well, let's not just do green screen and interactive light. If we're going to design the whole set and game engine ahead of time, maybe we could have some in-camera effects.
Everything in the volume is
Man,
designed
how
to
much
both
prep
light the
time does
actors
this
and to be a
take?
background that we can directly
But what's
photograph.
cool is
So
like
you end up with
they
a
don't
built-
have to fly anywhere. They can bring
Yeah.
the entire world that they want to them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And if something doesn't look right, they can literally just move
Yeah.
pieces of geometry to
Right.
fit
And
their
to me,
scene.
it's like, I mean, compare this to like the new Star Wars movies. You know, they're flying to Ireland, and you know, or even like the original, they're flying where like Morocco or somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, to film Tatooine. Like, I would have just assumed they were in those locations
know.
for a lot of these
tiny
like
final
scenes.
pixels in camera.
If you look at visual effects heavy films, you've got a film set and then it's going to go to post and it's going to get the world put in. Here we're considering all of that at the same time, and how do we create
No way.
a
Yeah.
That's
background and foreground that live together?
Because what's
on the
cool is they
volume
made a
harmoniously.
360-degree room,
When we
filled it with a
started to
bunch of
play with the
geometry,
idea of
and
using
the
Unreal
camera
Engine
in
for
the
virtual
engine
production,
tracks with the
that's
camera
one of the
movement.
things
So
that,
like,
Richard and John started to
looks
embrace
right.
is that you've got the happy accident that gives you the perfect shot. Being able to see the actors point at things and see what they're looking at was pretty transformative. It gave
dude, that's
going
gonna
to
be the future of movies.
With the
Yeah.
added
100%.
benefit that if
How
you wanna
long do you
move a
think it's
mountain
going to
Look at
take
this.
there to
until?
there, you can do it instantly.
You could switch between the Iceland location to the desert location, all within the same day of shooting.
That's got
Now
to make
look at this.
pre-production so much
Look
easier.
at this, guys. That's a screen
The
in there.
ability to
Oh,
shoot a
wait, like
10-hour
that
dawn
building was a
is
Yeah.
screen?
extraordinary. To shoot
The background.
any sequence where you say, "Oh, this world's not quite."
So
right,
wait, it
let's just
wasn't the
move it a little
background.
bit."
The room they were in, like
The room itself.
it's like not a real room. I mean, it's like a screen. That stuff.
So those boards are like,
Yeah,
those aren't real.
I don't think so. Like it's See, there's
Those are some really
The
talented.
ability to
Oh wow,
Uh,
yeah. Look, the screen was moving.
I
Watch
saw
it.
that. Yeah, I saw
Watch
like
it.
the
And
cutting.
all within the same day of shooting.
So like up here, see that?
Oh yeah,
the
yeah.
ability to shoot
wow.
a 10-hour dawn is extraordinary. To shoot
Right, a 10-hour
any
dawn.
se-
He's saying like you could shoot for 10 hours and
Yeah.
have dawn lighting. You know.
Yeah,
Oh no, I hit the wrong button.
yeah, that's definitely the future of filmmaking because
Yeah.
it just like
where
frees
you
up
say, "Oh, this
pre-production.
world's not
You're
quite
much more
right, let's just
flexible
move
with
it a
like
little bit."
schedules and stuff.
Extraordinary number of benefits.
Yeah, I
and
mean,
advantages
I guess
for
my
shooting
question
in
is
that
like,
environment.
how
It's
long
mind-blowing
until like
what
this
that tool is.
becomes something that
What
just
you
about
see is
anyone
really
could
what you
use?
get.
Yeah.
And that's something that really means a lot.
I think
to
that they're
filmmakers,
probably going to
especially
start
those who have worked
renting
with a more
out this
traditional
technology
approach
for
in the
film
past.
production.
Mm-hmm.
Shots of character in a vehicle traveling through a complex
This is great
environment.
too.
It's always very difficult to do believably on
Moving
stage.
shots.
LED screens are a wonderful solution to that problem because what you're doing is you're taking this technique of image-based lighting that we've been using in computer graphics for years, but use it to light a subject.
And then we would
Yeah.
do shoots where we would texture map real lit surfaces onto our game engine Geo, and so the camera could move anywhere.
Those are some
We
really
would do
talented
interiors,
3D
Werner
designers.
Herzog's
Oh,
office.
yeah.
Did you see that background moving though as
And
the
then you
camera was
started doing
moving?
things
Yeah,
like
dude.
building sets into it, having half a spaceship with reflective surfaces. And so it became exciting because by the end of the season, it was like, let's start designing sets around what this could do well.
Just like the good old days.
With Star Wars, we're building on a rich legacy of innovation, and getting to partner with Jon Favreau to make his ambitious vision a reality, it's really a game changer for
Yeah,
filmmaking.
dude, I feel like with Jon Favreau doing like the Jungle Book and like the Lion King, you know, that the team he's probably cultivated for those movies.
Mhm.
This is like the next step of like combining that technology into
Now,
like-
do you think there's any limitations with that technology? I wonder what like they're limited to.
I mean, I think the limitation is just being in that confined space, but with the ability to move the set with the camera, it kind of frees you up. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you want it to be like, other than the fact that the actor can only walk so far or whatever,
Yeah.
but you can still have him walking through and spin the room and spin the camera and everything. You know what I mean?
Well, what I'm wondering is like, let's say that you need to change the lens, right? On your camera, like you want a shot that's like a 50. I wonder if they have to go in, change the virtual lens on the camera to be like a 50 millimeter camera, and then they're gonna have to adjust the shot in the thing to match what they like the perspective or whatever of what they want. I wonder how long like the setup is.
Well, I don't know if that is how it works as much, because it's basically like what they're just shooting what you can see in the room. You know what I mean? You could use whatever lens, and it'll
still kind of have that look.
Yeah, it would just be like that's just like it's like
It'd be
it's just
the
like
same
if this
as
was the
like
room.
But your background
creating-
would change, like
Not based on the lens though. You know what I'm saying?
It's like if you built a set, you know,
Yeah.
and if you're filming the set, you can change out the lens. It's not like you're going to have to change out the door,
Yeah.
you know, with each different lens.
It doesn't matter the lens, because the room just looks like a full set, right? So you could put any lens on there and then adjust your shot from that.
Yeah, but like if I'm filming a shot with, let's say, a 24 millimeter lens, my shot in the background, I'm going to get more information. I'm going to, like, if I shoot that wall, I might
You mean
get the
it'll be
door
wider?
and the logo. Yes,
Sure,
it's going to be
yeah,
wider.
sure, yeah.
But if I shoot with a 50, I'm only going to get the logo, right? Because it's more cropped in.
Right.
So if they're changing their real lens for like a close up of the Mandalorian, then they would have to change the virtual camera lens to have like the set like stretch or like get wider or more
Not
cropped.
necessarily, only if they were wanting to get that stuff in the shot or something, but it would literally be just like shooting in a room that is real.
Mhm.
You just change out the lens, and then they could adjust it. Yeah, they could change the set behind them if they're trying to squeeze something into a shot.
So you're saying that like seam of when it's like
It's just
changing.
like I'm wondering if there's like a setup time for like changing lenses and stuff. Like what
Now,
what is the virtual setup to like how long does it take for the virtual setup to match the real?
I don't think the lens part matters as much as just the angle. Like if, for instance, if there's like the ones where there's a spaceship bottom is built and then the top is all LED screen. Well, then if they move the camera to the left 20 degrees, now it's gonna look off because they have to match they have to match the angle with where the camera is. But now a lot of these are just literally just a projected background, so it doesn't matter. They can move 360 degrees around and still have the background.
Right, I understand like that. I just am wondering if they have, because you have to move a virtual camera to match your normal camera, so I'm just wondering what the setup is like for that. If like how fast is it for them to kind of like switch their setups and get everything kind of like ready to go? Between their virtual environment and their real
the
environment.
prep time might change up,
Especially-
because you're working with how fast it can render stuff out. But it looks like it can do it pretty fast.
Yeah.
Once
Those
you're
are
like
some strong
filming with it.
computers.
For them, they're doing it pretty much instantly. Now, there's a lot of work that went into designing the sets, but that's just like any movie. If you're building a set, same thing, But with this, you have so much creative control because instead of just building a cave, you can now move those rocks however you want, or make an opening over here, or spin the room completely around.
Or, I mean, even if you are going to build the cave, like some of the stuff looks real. They have stuff in the foreground, the ground that they're walking on, like
The floor,
that's all like real. So it's cool that they're not having to spend as much time building the actual sets.
Speaking of this too, because I watched the Corridor one where they were talking about the same technology. They're working on building their own miniature version of this, and I wonder how difficult it would be to build one for like a smaller like production company. Like I wonder how affordable it is.
Well, so that what's it called again? Unreal Engine, right? Like, so how does that work? Like, can you?
Well, you have to pay for it, and it's just a game engine, so it's literally like you're just building these 3D environments.
Yeah. Just
And
like you would for a video game.
It's like it's like After Effects. It's like you can build a virtual camera that exists within that space. You build your environment, and then I don't really know how they got the cameras, like the Unreal Engine's camera, to match with the real camera.
Yeah.
I don't know how that like links together. That makes no sense.
Yeah, there's got to be a way they sync that, right? And,
Yeah.
because like literally in this shot on this dolly, the background is like moving away as the camera's moving forward or something.
Yeah, I don't know how they sync that unless there's a guy over there like with the camera controls that's just like watching the scene with like the actual camera up. He's like trying to move it.
They're probably working with sensors, wouldn't you think, or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Totally.
That's super cool though.
Yeah. So, and this reminded me of Oblivion.
The Tom Cruise movie.
Yes. Back in 2013.
Okay.
And I remember watching this BTS back then. They did a similar sort of practical effect. Did you ever see that movie, Ellis?
No, I've actually never seen this movie.
I haven't seen this movie
So
either.
he lives in like this tower type thing that's
In the
like
sky, right?
in the sky, yeah, like Jetsons style, way up in the sky. And so I've got a clip here that sort of tells how they did it. Let's check that out first. Okay.
Nice.
JK. Let's go back.
Level home
Here you
that's
go.
on this tiny little spindle.
Obviously, that's not something you could build, but I felt like we could get close. Before the movie started principal photography, we went to Haleakala, a volcano in Maui. We set up 3 cameras that captured sky, clouds,
I feel like you
sunrise,
showed this to
sunsets,
me.
stars. Then we took that footage and we front projected it on a massive screen that surrounded the set.
It gave the film a very epic feeling.
If we were to do this blue screen, all that blue that you'd see outside the windows would spill into all these surfaces and all this glass, and that would be a virtual night.
The whole room is glass, pretty much.
That's the way to do it, because stuff like glass is so hard to key out when it's on a green screen or a blue screen, because
what
it's
you're
like
seeing is the
it's like
final
distorted
product.
and
And we're able
refracted.
to change the weather. It's sunset, and the next day is daylight, then we have night, and all the clouds are moving. It's all pretty amazing.
And what that
So they
allowed us
probably
to do is
filmed
to not only capture it
those
in camera,
clouds like for hours.
I
if
guess
not days.
Yeah, they just set up on top of the volcano or whatever.
Yeah, because they
and
had
got-
to get different like times
Yeah.
of day.
Now,
or
of course,
whatever.
I think they obviously CG'd a lot of the stuff in with it because you could see like a whatever like a Milky Way looking thing in the background and stuff like that.
but use the reflected light of that footage
But
to
still.
actually
Again, here they're using that as sort of their lighting source.
See, like I think green screen and stuff is like it's so primitive now compared to something like this. It's like green screen's not perfect. It can get the job done, but
Yeah.
like those edges are like really hard to like get looking right.
Yeah, it's funny you say primitive though, because this is really kind of old technology that they used to always do was like projecting stuff behind the actors. They
Right.
would do in like old school, like a movie from the 80s or whatever, like
rear projection.
Yeah, like or they're in a car, they're projecting
Yeah.
it. They've got the screen going
But,
by like it's like they're moving.
The ability to like control
Exactly.
the environment now has like made that much more feasible,
Yeah.
because green and blue screens like it's super hard to key out certain environments, like, and this just gives you the accurate lighting that you need right away, so you don't have to worry about that later on.
The actors can interact with
the
it.
actors can interact with the environment.
I think that's my favorite part.
Yeah.
Is that like for an actor
Or
I
a
think
director.
that would, or a director, it's like you're in the environment. Like there's a few of you might see a seam of like this digital 3D space, but it's like other than that, you're pretty much in that environment.
Yeah.
I bet ILM's got like that technology like on lockdown. Like,
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like a blending though of old school techniques and new, because like the newer style for years has been to green screen it and CG, like computer generated imagery for everything you see almost. And then before that, they used a lot of projectors and everything. So now it's like they're doing both. It's like these projected images, but that are in real time, that are CG.
This
elements.
is like the perfect medium, though. I think between the two, because like full CG can look pretty fake. It's pretty easy to tell when someone's on a green screen or like there's like a green screen background. Rear projection, you could tell if someone was on that. I think this is like a good happy medium that's really gonna like. This is the way movies are gonna go.
How
I
far
think.
out do you think, if Lucasfilm is doing it, how far out until we see like Marvel movies? Like in the next one, you think?
I think immediately.
Black Widow has some stuff that they'll like release once that movie comes out.
You would think, right? Because
if not Black Widow, I guarantee, what is it, the Internals coming out in November? That's probably going to.
Well, I would say it's really up to the director and producer how old school they are. Like they might want to go to location because they feel they can kind of like get in like the headspace and stuff for the scene. They have more control, but
have a nice little vacation.
Yeah, I feel like for like more modern day like directors and like people who are more tech savvy, this is like the future, because all you have to do then is worry about like renting out this space and having the team there to like help you like run like this equipment, and then making sure people's schedules line up. That's it. No booking like a lot of like flights like back and forth to different places.
Right.
And you can shoot whatever.
It's got to be way more affordable, way more affordable to do it this way, right?
I would imagine.
You would think so, right?
Let's see if there's anything else here.
Light, the sets, and the actors.
The lighting that you're getting on the actors' faces is the same type of light
guy
that you get in
got a
sunset,
huge
because
mustache.
it's literally footage of a sunset.
You end up with an all-in-camera visual effect and a visual quality that just can't be faked.
And the actors really enjoy it
that's
too, because
cool.
they're actually in a place that has clouds surrounding them.
It does help as an actor, not acting.
I like how they brought up her audio so you could hear her laugh, because they're like, the actors really enjoy it too, and it's like
Green screen, it's interactive, so you don't have
And then
to
you
try
have
to
Mr.
imagine
Ravioli
something. You're there
store,
with
yeah.
other
Tom
actors. It
Cruise.
felt very organic.
I love it when Tom Cruise will like just explain stuff. I don't know
This
why.
is an amazing piece of art. I want to stay here and live here.
yeah. And in this movie, they built a beautiful set, and then they also projected the background. So,
dude, I wonder like if there's gonna be a lot of like set deck people that kind of like don't get as many gigs because of this like rear projection. Like obviously you still have to build some stuff that the actors interact with, but like
who knows?
Like we watched some BTS the other day of Michel Gondry. Like he's done a lot of projection filming, and but his has a very specific look and style, and it's not meant to look real. It's meant to look stylized and quirky and kind of.
His also definitely isn't as like polished, but I think like you were saying, that's like what he's going for.
Yeah, I think it would be awesome. I think we should. I mean, I know we're going to play around with some projection stuff in this next project we're getting ready to shoot, but I think it would be really fun to push the boundaries of that, like what we can achieve just with.
I want to try to build one of these. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Like I want to see if we can like actually make one.
Yeah. I don't know, but then it's like I guess
what would we use it?
What would you use to project it? Because they're using these giant LED panels. We wouldn't have access to that type of thing. I mean, we could use a projector, but that's not going to give you the type of light that they're getting now. In this one, this Tom Cruise one, did they say rear project? So are they projecting it from behind those screens? I think that's how it works.
Maybe.
And then it's like, and then you are getting a lot more light. I mean, it's being diffused through a screen, but those colors are basically coming through onto your actors and everything.
I don't know, but I think it's worth trying. At least like trying to build a mini version of it.
Yeah.
Dude, it's insane. Have you guys seen the Snoop Dogg deepfake yet?
No.
You were telling us about it yesterday.
Yeah. Corridor had they got hired by Snoop Dogg for like his next music video. It's out now, I think. And they had to bring like Tupac back to life.
Mm-hmm.
So they like did it. They got like an actor who looked sort of like Tupac, and then they put him on a green screen, and they recreated the lighting from this interview between Snoop Dogg and Tupac in like the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And they like had the actor like singing the lyrics to Snoop Dogg's music video, and then they took his acting and like just his head or whatever, and they deep faked it, made it look like Tupac, and then they like comped it onto that old footage, and then like aged the footage to like blend it into like this like 90s footage, and it looks so real.
So with deepfakes, are we still at the place where it has to be like 720 or something, or 10, like a lower resolution for? I remember we watched that one video, and essentially that's what they were saying was like that's why the cell phone ones worked really well, cell phone footage, because when they were replacing the face, it had to be they couldn't do like a 4K deep
I
fake.
feel like it depends on where you pull the information. So like a deep fake is like taking a bunch of different instances of I might butcher this definition, taking a bunch of instances of someone's like face or acting, so like a famous actor,
and you want their like profile, their head on, different expressions.
You want different expressions, and then you run it through a program along next to your actor's footage, and the machine kind of like gets those same expressions, and just like over time is able to like recreate that person's acting using the other actor's face. So he was only working for like the Tupac stuff with footage from the 90s, and he could only find these profile shots that were decent quality, that was like 720p at least, in 3 videos, and all videos he was facing the same direction. So he didn't have any footage of the other side of Tupac's face.
Oh, that must have been his good side. So he was only doing his
it was like
side,
the nose ring side.
Yeah.
And so what he had to do is he had to take all the footage and then flip it in post, so it like just duplicated like his like face on the other side. Wow. And then the lighting was basically, there was only 3 lighting setups out of all the footage he had. So he got this weird flickering like effect because it didn't have enough lighting to like learn the lighting or whatever. So he had to like go in and like create a wiggle expression on like all of like the footage, and like just have the lighting like change colors during the footage. And he had to pull expressions with different lighting setups like over and over.
Wow. So he had head-on shots of him to work from, though.
Yeah,
right?
that was it.
And now they need actual video footage to do this. Like they don't use They can't use photographs.
Well, they use the photographs, but it's like pulled from the footage.
Yeah.
He also had to deal with weird interlacing from like, because it was like old 90s footage, which is like it creates these like weird horizontal lines on your face, and that it's like this motion blur, but it's like in the motion blur is like these weird lines.
So it's like, apparently it uses some artificial intelligence to do this, right?
Yeah, it's machine learning.
Yeah, machine learning and artificial intelligence to manipulate or generate visual and audio content with a high potential to deceive. The main machine learning methods used to create deepfakes are based on deep learning and involve training generative neural network architectures, such as autoencoders, blah, blah, blah. Lots of really technical stuff here.
Yeah, dude, machine learning is getting pretty good. Like they did another one where they basically like would draw a face, right? And you would like use different colors, and those colors would identify like mouth, eyes, whatever. And then they could take a real person's face, and it would like analyze that person's...
The machine would?
Yeah, the machine would analyze that person's face, figure out where the eyes are, mouth, skin, whatever. And then it would take all of that information and like paste it onto like the drawing that you had of like that information.
Wow.
And like recreate it with like the realistic textures. It's terrifying.
So how long?
Oh, it sounds like it.
Yeah, like how long until like we just can't tell the difference, you know?
Dude, I don't know, because it's like evolving at such a fast rate.
Like they could already probably make something and put it out like of the president, you know, saying something that's not. It's just fake news.
I feel like they've done that with footage of Barack Obama.
Yeah, and was that footage or was it the audio? I remember the audio thing where they do both.
I might be making it up. I don't know.
Like even like face swap things.
Yeah.
Like when that first came out, I was like, wow, because it's fairly. I mean, it's pretty good. I don't think people realize how good Snapchat and Instagram filters. They're tracking to your face like in real time. You know,
it's like definitely evolving really fast. That it's like getting like a little scary. And I know that like the older generation probably. Like if you aren't fully aware of what like deepfakes are, machine learning and stuff like that, it's probably like really easy to buy into something that was like deepfaked.
Yeah.
And think that this was real. This is what something said.
Like even a few years ago, I mean, it wasn't that long ago when we were in college learning in graphic design how to do like face replacement in Photoshop and everything. And now, like, you know, remember a few months ago we did what was it called? The old, when we all looked old. It aged us. And that was just an app. And like instantly it would make, it looked really good.
Yeah. I was about to say, I definitely felt like it looked.
It was believable.
Oh yeah.
And that was something we spent hours learning in Photoshop, how to like comp faces
Yeah,
together
yeah.
and everything, and now it's basically like it
do
can
it in real time.
Yeah, it can do
Yeah.
it instantly. Just take the picture. Yeah, it's crazy. Before long, it's going to be, augmented reality. Like, I mean, what if it's just you're literally like you don't even know what someone looks like. You're walking around and you see you're wearing some kind
Virtual.
of goggles
Have you ever
or contacts, and you see them how they want to look. But
Have you
not
ever
Take
seen
the
that
glasses
movie?
off and it's like they live. They're an alien looking.
Yeah, they've got like there's the skull.
Did you ever see that movie? I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it was like you could like put your conscience into like your ideal body or whatever.
Is it
Surrogates?
Bruce Willis?
Surrogates.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Bruce Willis. Yeah.
Yeah. That it's gonna be like that, man.
Yeah.
Where you just have like this like robot
Yeah,
android body, and you just put yourself.
You're
in it.
laying in like a bed
Yeah.
somewhere, and then your robot body or whatever it is like android bodies running around.
Yeah, dude, it's gonna be like that. It's gonna be crazy.
Real life will become like video games.
Dude,
Yeah.
even VR right now is like really like crazy.
Yeah. So, do you think it's going to get to the place where Ready Player One, where it could be like that movie, where your virtual reality video game feels that real?
I feel like it's developing at a pretty fast rate. I think it's still like a niche thing to do VR.
I just feel like real life. I think it's going to just be like how there's the uncanny valley of like seeing faces with CGI. I think we'll enter an uncanny valley where VR will be so close to reality in a way, but it's going to be like there's
something that is
there's
not
something
right.
that's not right. You're not going to be able to really explain it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing. Talking about deep fakes. Think about the new Star Wars movies. Rogue One has that shot of Princess Leia at the end, or even Grand Moff Tarkin, right? And it's like Peter Cushing's been dead for years, but they bring him back for this movie, and it's like, they did it so well, but there's still something that feels off, right?
Yeah.
I wonder, like, I guess like if it reached a point where like it was like sending electrical signals from your brain to make you like experience certain like feelings or something.
Yeah.
Or like create the illusion of like touch or smell or taste or whatever. Like I feel like that's the only way that you'd really have it be at that level of like Ready Player One.
But I think there's going. I don't think we've really even gotten to the place, and they'll try their best, but I think there's going to be those little nuances that make reality.
Yeah.
That people just they're going to try so hard, but they're not going to. They're going to do it really well, but they're not going to be able to like really.
I think eventually they will though.
What if we already have done it?
Right, that's the theory, right? Of like being in a
we're already in a simulation, Brad.
See, that's the thing. I think with enough time, they'll probably get there. It'll be something it looks so. Because I mean, the reason I say that is the video games we played the other night. We had a video game night. I haven't played video games in years, but when I was a kid, I had a Nintendo 64, and that was the best they had at the time. That was the best anyone had ever seen. And think about how terrible that looks compared to what we played.
And some of the stuff we played, like we played Dead Space 2, and that's like an older game still.
Yeah, it was 2011.
Yeah, and but the newer one, what was it?
We were playing Resident Evil.
What year did that come out?
2018.
2018. So, and it's still like you were saying, uncanny valley, right? It didn't feel totally real, but when I look at that compared to like N64, man, it's crazy. So I mean, if you can go exponentially another 20 years or whatever, it's like what's it gonna look like then? Because even if you just go back to like when Halo first came out, it's crazy the jump that they've made.
That
the problem with video games is they're going to keep on re-releasing the same games. I mean, that's what they're doing.
Speaking of Halo, I was about to say, speaking of Halo, they have the Master Chief Collection, which came out, which they recreated all the graphics for like the original Halo games. Looks so realistic now compared to what it used to be. It's like insane to see, like, because there's a button that lets you switch between like the old graphics and the new graphics. That's cool. Like in the middle of the game, like cinematic, whatever, you can just swap it, and it's crazy to see how it used to look. And then you press a button and it fast forwards you like 10 or 15 years.
Yeah,
and like just the change is insane. And like how real it looks.
Here's a question I have. So, like, they do that all the time with video games, right? They re-release them and give them updated graphics. Do you think with like computer animated movies, like
Toy Story?
Toy Story, yeah, is a great example. Like, should they update Toy Story where it looks like
how,
the same graphics of Toy Story 4 came out last year, but the original Toy Story came out in like 1995?
I think that they wouldn't be able to do that as well.
Kind of like, I mean, George Lucas tried to do that, right, with Star Wars, trying to I just think I hate it because there was people who put all that work in back then, and they made especially, I mean, Star Wars they made giant leaps with visual effects and everything, and then to go back and kind of redo it, work. It's like why rewrite the history? Just make new stuff.
I'm totally on that boat too.
I mean, I'm with you. I think with something like Star Wars or like stuff that blends CGI with live action, it kind of that's where it becomes really weird.
But even Toy Story or something, those were animated at a time. You know, it's kind of like, why remake like Steamboat Willie? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like they were doing new things of that time. The hand drawn animation.
What makes it more acceptable with video games?
Well, I think that it would just be.
Maybe it's not.
I think it would be harder. I mean, I'm not like a full expert or anything, but
are you sure about that?
Yes. To change, like, okay, so you'd have to recreate the models, and if you recreate the models, then you would have to re-rig the entire thing, and then you'd have to recreate the same animations because the rig wouldn't fit a new model that has like different.
So it's
like,
just
polys.
It's like too much work for.
I think it would just be too much work, honestly.
For no.
Whereas,
I mean, I would imagine if it made sense, Disney would have already done it.
Yeah,
and I don't think it'd be enough money. It wouldn't make enough money for just re-upping the graphics.
Right. Instead, that's why they just remake it, right? That's why they did a new Lion King or whatever.
Yeah, if they're doing live action, that's sequels. A new draw to bring someone in. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Than like just being like, let me just boost the polys a little bit on Woody here. And
so I mean, this is a question I've had for a while. Like, why is it acceptable to like update video game graphics, but like movies, we all agreed that's something we wouldn't want people to do.
And do you mean like acceptable, like in terms of like people, like society in society,
like consumers?
Okay?
Yeah, the fact that like, you know, we're talking about Halo just released all their previous games with updated graphics, and I would imagine it's a big hit. You know, people are buying it.
Like, do people not look at it as an art form in the same way or something? You know,
well,
and that's why they think it's okay?
Video games are kind of like special because so they can release on a game console, but they can also release on like PC. If it releases on PC, that's a really big deal because people have better technology in their PCs. They can play these games with the higher graphics.
Yeah.
But I think it's more acceptable because this is a game that you loved as a kid, and being able to get to re-experience that nostalgia in a more updated environment is just it's something that you really kind of want because you're kind of
like,
what's
the flip side with, like, you know, I loved Toy Story as a kid, you know,
right?
Why would I not want to see the original Toy Story with updated graphics?
And also,
or something like Shrek.
So, do you feel this way, or are you just describing like what the like?
This is how I feel.
So you feel
I would be okay with it.
This is how I feel.
Well, I think with movies there comes like this sense of detachment almost. Like you're detaching from reality. You're experiencing the story, and with video games, I feel like I'm more immersed in like the story. I feel like the main character, like I'm going through all this, and graphics can really, they're a thing in video games that can take you out of the moment. And it can ruin your suspension of disbelief. With more upgraded graphics, I feel like I'm more immersed in the story. It feels more realistic. It feels like I'm really there.
Yeah.
So getting to experience old games that I enjoyed as a kid, but with these new upgraded graphics, is like this refreshing experience of getting to like be re-immersed in the story once more.
So do you not feel with like the artist who made those graphics the same way you would about a movie, right? You don't feel like, oh, it's kind of a snub to the people who worked on those graphics back then on like a movie versus a video game?
Honestly, no. I know it's super contradicting. I know, but
you know what? That's on brand for you.
Yeah.
Yes,
for sure.
I know it's contradicting, but like, if anything, updating something that like I worked hard, like I'd be really like I would feel really happy if I made something, work super hard on something, but I was limited by my technology at the time, and someone came back and took my work that people loved and made it even better. I would personally think that that's awesome. Now, for movies, I think it's a little bit different. I think that those are kind of like cemented in the time that they were made.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they should be like brought back for like monetary gain.
How about like, what about, you know, when a director they write and direct a movie and it's kind of their baby, you know, they're the creator of this story and everything. And then the studio owns it and everything. They go on to make sequels and they are terrible, you know, and that director isn't even involved in them. You know? I guess I'm just saying like that. Imagine what that would be like.
Well,
that would just be
that happens in games too.
Okay.
With the Halo series, Bungie's the original creators of the Halo series,
and then they left
after Halo 3. They decided they wanted to go make other stuff. They didn't want to be typecasted or like have this like single genre brand that they made. Yeah, they wanted to make other stuff. So a bunch of people that were fans of the game made their own industry called 343. They got the rights to Halo, but it didn't have the same feeling and same heart that like Bungie had put into it. It felt like they were really trying to overcomplicate everything, like the story, add too much.
These were fans who were fans. Bought the.
Well, it was another game company, right?
Yeah, but these guys were founded by fans of Halo.
Well, when you say like it sounds like fans, it's like a fan-made game, but it's like an actual like
it's they're working studio.
They're working for Microsoft.
They have the rights to make this.
Yeah, were they a studio before?
No, they came together to work on Halo.
Gotcha.
But this is all people who like read the books and stuff because Halo had a bunch of books and stuff that came out. Yeah. They really overcomplicated the story without explaining like what's going on and stuff, and it really just sullied what the game should have ended with the third installment. And they really just sullied it after that. And it's just like movies when someone like makes this really awesome movie and then these sequels come out by the studio,
like Jaws 3D.
Yes.
You know, you have like a classic film like Jaws, and then they continue to make them and just and that wasn't a movie that seemed like it was made for sequels. Some movies feel like they're made for sequels, like all of these the Fast and the Furious franchise and like a lot of obviously Avengers and superhero things. Those are made to be continued stories.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like that with like everything, you know? It's like there's some stuff that you expect to have a sequel come out because that's just the on
it
brand
just makes
for
sense.
It. Yeah.
So
it's like Call of Duty.
I watched a movie last night. I think it's called Spencer Confidential. Have you seen that on Netflix? Like a new movie with.
Is that the one with Mark Wahlberg?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I remember the trailer because it was like it had Post Malone in it.
Yes, Post Malone.
And I was like, what? Post Malone's moving into acting?
Yeah, he's not a great actor.
Oh, I could tell you that before even seeing the movie.
That seems like the path.
Not a huge part for him. But what's interesting about this, and this will actually, I think...
Wait, let me address this with Ellis. I feel like Post Malone, with the way he looks, he's going to get typecast in like only a few types.
Oh, he's
of
a prisoner. He's a prisoner.
Yeah. Okay.
That totally makes sense. I'm saying that I feel like a lot of musicians and like they like start with music and then somehow just end up in like the movie industry.
It's the opposite, right? It's like every musician wants to become an actor and every actor wants to become a musician.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
But he's a prisoner in the movie, and it's like I feel like that's the only roles he can get because the dude's face says always tired, and it's tattooed under his eyes.
Well, you can get rid of that now.
You could do CG or with makeup. They could make
Both.
up. They could definitely remove all his makeup, but
either or.
But yeah, he's not a great actor. But the movie, I mean, I don't want to like ruin the movie, but it's like it ends with basically a setup. Yeah, like a very like on the nose. Like you're watching a TV show almost. I guess maybe it's on purpose because the whole movie had almost this sort of 80s crime like buddy cop vibe or something, and even the music had this like that sounded like you're watching.
Did they use any of his music?
No. And he's like not a huge part of the movie anyways.
Oh, okay.
But
it's just a way to get probably teenagers to
Yeah.
watch a Mark
Yes.
Wahlberg
Exactly.
movie.
Yeah.
I was just
they're
wondering.
like they're like, who's this guy in this movie with Post Malone?
Yeah,
that's Mark Wahlberg. Oh, I never heard of him. But they in this movie, and I think this could actually take us into our next topic pretty
Okay.
well. There's a lot of cliches in the
Ooh,
movie.
yeah.
And so cliches don't necessarily have to be a bad thing. 'Cause
No,
sometimes they're done well. and
I
they-
think a lot of people think they're bad.
yeah,
You know?
like cliches become cliches because they work well,
Mhm.
usually, or because they're true. A lot
Yeah.
of times you hear cliches about people and it's because they're true or whatever. But in this one, I'll tell you one that I noticed, and it's if you've ever seen like almost any movie with a dog chase. Is there something you could think of before I even say it? Like
when I think of dog chase, I always think of Raising Arizona.
Yeah.
That's like the first thing that comes to mind.
so
I'm trying to
a
think what
dog,
else.
a dog who's been chained up.
Okay.
Specifically.
Okay.
And I think almost every movie does this, but the guy jumps a fence.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
Sees a dog.
I can visualize
The
it.
dog wakes up, and then he's on a chain, but he's running at him full
Oh, and the
speed.
chain.
The chain stops him, right,
Yeah.
and he's like inches from his face,
Uh-huh.
right. And you've got like the like right in his face. So they basically did almost that exactly.
Dude, that's like going back to Tom and Jerry.
Yeah,
like-
it's actually sort of cartoonish, right? And the snout's
Mm-hmm.
right in their face, and then he like runs, and then of course the chain always breaks, and the
Yeah.
dog ends up chasing him or
Mhm.
jumps the fence or something.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I feel like every time I've seen a dog scene like that, did Ferris Bueller have a dog chase, or am I just thinking him running through people's yards?
I don't remember if there was a dog chase for
well,
Ferris
didn't the
Bueller.
dog chase the principal?
Possibly. Yeah.
So, anyways,
It's been a
so many
minute.
movies I feel like have
Sandlot.
done that.
Yeah.
Sandlot. Yes. Another cliche that they did, and but I kind of like this one too. Headphones. There's a guy with headphones doesn't notice the chaos, the carnage.
yeah,
behind
Oh, dude,
it.
that
It's always
happens
in the
all
background.
the
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
I
yeah.
can think of like Super 8, right? Super 8. The
Spider-Man with Stan Lee,
I was
dude, when
about
he's
to say
listening to
that
the
one,
music
yeah.
and like Spider-Man's
Uh-huh.
fighting. Yeah, dude, that
Um,
happens all the time.
I like that one.
I do
That's
too, because it's a fun like beat that sort of takes
Yeah.
you out of the action for a minute,
Yeah.
from another angle, and especially when you can hear the guy's music,
Yeah.
but not hear the like guys flipping
Yeah,
over the
yeah.
table behind him.
I almost wonder if like the people that are writing it or the directors even realize in the moment that it's a cliche that they're doing, that like they don't know that they're getting that inspiration from other movies that they've seen.
Oh, right.
Like they're
Kinda
just kind of
forget.
writing, they're like, what'd be a cool idea is if this happens.
Yeah.
And it's like they just
Yeah.
don't know that
I would
that's-
say they might probably most cases they don't realize they're doing it, because
Yeah.
I know when we're writing we're not.
You're not
thinking of
even
that.
thinking on that level, and then it's a little bit later. You're like, oh, yeah,
It's
we might have
similar.
like picked that up from something else.
Right.
Um,
Exactly.
One cliche that grinds my gears though is the kid that is like a computer whiz, and they're
Dude, I
like,
hate
let
that
me
one so-
hack into the Pentagon.
He's like,
and yeah,
I'm
like,
in.
Yeah, exactly. Man, that one
Saying I'm
always.
in.
Yes, that too. That one always like, it'll take me out of a movie instantly. I think Jurassic Park might be one of the only ones that I'll like be forgiving of.
That's
that
the one that makes me so mad though, because she's like, this is a Linux system.
I know
I
this.
know this. And I'm like, that is not Linux.
Yeah.
This is literally just a like 3D like thing
Mo-
flying
I love
through
it.
air. It's so dumb looking.
It's flying through a bunch of cubes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so
that's
stupid
hilarious.
looking.
So nice.
But yeah, it's like, I was about to say a Night at the Movies. Night at the Museum.
Yeah.
His Ben Stiller's kid in that one is
Oh,
that way.
computer whiz.
Even like Iron Man 3, like had that kid and he's like, yeah, I'll help you out. I'm like, this kid's as smart as Tony Stark.
Yeah.
I
Like,
think
what?
Yeah, they even did that in Silicon Valley, I think, where they like hired this kid to come in and hack something.
Yeah.
He was like the best.
Dude, Iron Man had like the plot shield with like technology where he was just like, yeah, I invented this thing that, it helps me with this exact moment and exact problem. I thought about this like 5 years back, whatever. I'm like, dude, he's like got like this crutch where he can just like be like, yeah, I made this for
He
this
has-
exact thing
he
that I
has-
thought of 5 years ago.
He has legit plot armor.
Dude, it is plot armor. And ironically, spoilers is the one that dies.
Is it now okay to have in-game spoilers?
I think so. It's been a while.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what else cliches. I mean, this is more so student films or like independent films, but like not really using cross dissolves well.
Oh, yeah.
Or I mean, we kind of, I think Luke and I, I don't know exactly how far you stand on this, Alice, but Luke and I are really anti cross dissolve.
It's only good if like there's like super certain situations. If the camera is on sticks and the guy is like walking and then it cross dissolves, he's like in another part of the frame and it's like showing him like.
But even that
like,
to me, like
time.
that's a cliche. That
it is 100%.
Like that bugs me too.
I was also gonna say that like in student films, whenever they're like sleeping and then they slam their alarm in the morning, cliche. Or if they're like their eyes, like the first shot of the thing is their eyes opening.
Every student film starts like that.
Yes,
basically.
dude.
Yeah. The cross dissolve thing, the professors often teach them that that's like how to show the passing of time. They'll say that very like sort of broadly, and I'm like, that's not a good thing to teach, because now everyone tries to use that to show like, oh, time passed, but it looks so bad. Now if you have a moving shot, don't cross dissolve to another shot. Like it looks terrible because you got like two competing movements happening. I would say, like, we literally never cross dissolve. We like maybe we fade in and out.
I can think of like one project that we did, and that was the Department of Visual Arts,
and that
video.
was because it
and
faded.
That was a really cool cross dissolve,
right?
And I remember that was your idea, and it looked really cool of this girl like working with the pottery, and then like cross dissolve to I forget what the other.
And it was almost like a matching shape, right? Were, and I like that. I've seen movies like really good filmmakers who do that, and they'll match the shape from one shot to the next, so that what you're cross dissolving on. Like your eye is focused on some kind of shape that you're matching.
There's
each.
definitely more creative ways to show the passage of time than just like using a cross dissolve.
And I think there's I think there's people who have used cross dissolves really well. Like one of my favorite examples is the beginning of Apocalypse Now. So you have Martin Sheen like in his hotel room, and he's like looking up at the ceiling fan, and then it like cross dissolves into helicopters in his time at Vietnam. That's an iconic,
smart.
And it's like kind of it's working on another level because it's
almost a
incorporating
match cut though. It's like you're using a match cut to supplement the cross dissolve to make it work better.
Exactly. Or a more recent example to me is, and I don't know how they figure all this out, but in the TV show Legion, they're like cross dissolving like 5 different things at different times, but like I think it works amazingly.
Oh, I've got one. Stranger Things, the red light bulb. You remember the red light bulb? It goes from the Christmas lights that she was hanging up. There's a red bulb that is we focus on. It cross dissolves to the dark room where Jonathan is in the dark room. And that matches really well. Again, it's just a match cut, but they've put a cross dissolve on it. So really, we like match cuts.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, obviously we like match cuts, but I think we don't really like any cross dissolves. It's just when they've been match cut.
Well, in Legion, it's like their cross dissolves aren't always match cuts, but it works. But I think it fits in like the chaotic style of that TV show and everything, like not really making sense.
Or if you're doing something psychedelic, or if you're having hallucinations,
stuff like that works for sure.
Very specific.
So I found a list online here.
Okay.
I don't know what's on it, but it says the ticking clock is one of the cliches.
The sound.
It says that if you have to resort to a literal ticking time bomb to emphasize the stakes, then you should try to pass the time some other way. So I guess an actual ticking,
like this bomb's going to go
like
off.
The sound. Well, I don't know, because like Interstellar kind of like does that with when they're on like the water planet, right?
Yeah, but I think that
it's like really a build up.
Like the example they give here is like The Dark Knight Rises, where it's like there's a bomb, so it's like you're cutting back to the bomb, and it's like going down, and you're like, oh, I gotta remove it.
That's like some 24 stuff, man, where like the bomb's been like ticking down for a minute for the past like 3 hours.
Dude, here's a good one. Sneaking up on you. It says, they're behind me, aren't they? How many movies have you seen where they're talking about someone and then the person's standing right behind them? Dude, every movie, I feel like TV shows especially love to do that. Villains with terrible accuracy.
That is
like stormtroopers.
So while the hero is in danger, you don't want them hurt. It says this usually results in a bunch of goons shooting aimlessly at the protagonist and missing in spectacular
It's because
fashion.
it's the protagonist. They have plot armor. That's why I like it when they changed it up and they hurt him.
That's the one thing that I think Infinity War did well, even though I knew all those heroes were going to come back. But it's like I kind of got tired with the Marvel movies that like the stakes for everyone really weren't there because you're like, oh, they're going to live again. You know? They're going to make it through.
This one says guns that never run out of ammo.
Yes, that is so annoying.
Shot in the shoulder. So apparently these are all like gun related nearly, but I guess your hero gets a wound.
They get a wound, but it's like definitely this will never be fatal.
See, that's like for the Matrix, for example, I felt like they did a good job of like wounding like their protagonists and even like the supporting characters to show how like strong and like deadly the
So I guess what they're saying here is writers seem to think there's nothing of importance in your shoulders, but they are wrong. There's both a brachial artery and subclavian artery in your shoulders, and a bullet hitting either one could lead to dramatic blood loss. You certainly wouldn't be able to keep on fighting. That's what it says. How about it's just a cat?
Oh, like in scary movies?
Jump scares. Like cheap. It says
man, I love how that episode of Community, I think it's one of their Halloween episodes, and they played on that trope where like Troy and Abed are in the basement of the community college and this cat's like keeps jumping back and they're like, what is wrong with this cat?
Yeah. Hot but doesn't know it. Oh wait, it's this like
it's the teen movie trope where it's like they
put on the glasses.
It's so terrible. It's like, oh, this girl is actually very pretty. She just wears glasses. I'm like, that's such a terrible message.
Yes. I know. Yeah, like, oh, she takes off her glasses and she looks like a different person.
You're like, wow, you look different.
Yeah.
And you're like, what?
Okay, how about if a dream conveys plot information?
That's dumb. I hate that. I hate that so much.
All right.
I love it. I'll fight you on that.
Cutting hair to convey trauma. What does this mean?
Oh, like if
is that to show like
changing their
character development?
It becomes particularly abhorrent when you I guess it's like someone's going through a lot, like especially a female character, so they just start cutting their hair off themselves, and then it's like they have like this perfect hairdo in a dimly lit bathroom
somewhere on Spaceship Earth.
Yeah.
Bowl cut maintenance.
Enhance.
Oh, dude, Enhance is the best.
That one's
So what this is like if you're like looking
CSI.
at you're looking at footage.
Oh yeah.
For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, if you're looking at like footage from a like a security camera,
yes,
they're looking over the guy's shoulder and they go Enhance. They're like, can you zoom in on that?
It just like the blurry image is just like,
and then it like
and it's like a perfect crisp image. You're like, that would never happen.
Yeah, in reality, guys, there's no way to do that. Like the pixels don't just magically generate. If you zoom in, it's pixelated, and at some point there's no more information to draw from
unless it's a vector file.
Yeah, but that's not going to be the case.
Security footage is vector files.
How about this? We've got company.
Oh, like when
is that like the bad guy trope? Whenever they like all grab their guns, they're like, "We've got company."
Yeah. So this article is saying, how many times have you ever heard someone in real life earnestly say, "We've got company"? Even when you have company coming over to your house, no one actually says this. They probably just say, "Tony is here." However, if someone used this line in a movie, when people were actually coming over for dinner, that would be funny. Otherwise, this is one of many movie cliches that we can do without. We've got company. Let's just start saying that all the time.
Yeah.
Oh yes, dude! In like horror movies, the medicine cabinet reflection, where they're like there's nothing there. They open it and then they close it, and the thing is like.
And now, you know what? I feel like now though they do it as they don't put something there. I feel like that's the new.
And then they
cliche.
turn around, and then there's something that's in their face that scares you because you have this sense of relief.
How about the refrigerator door? How many times is the refrigerator door? They open it.
Oh yes, and then he's standing there, and then they walk away or something. They have no idea. Yeah. It's
so many times they open the refrigerator door, and nothing's. They close it, and there's someone standing.
Man,
there.
I feel like horror movies have a lot of these.
Oh yeah.
Don't die on me. Here's another one.
When someone's like, hey,
he's like bleeding out. He's like, don't you die on me.
It says, you think anyone ever got really close to death only to be told, don't die on me, and lived?
He's like, this phrase has restored my strength.
Don't you die on me.
Any kind of hacking. Yeah.
There it is.
Oh come on
Mr.
now.
Robot.
They got Mr. Robot on here. Hacking always looks far flashier than it actually is. If you have to include hacking in your script, then it would pay off.
We're in.
Research. Yeah, we're in.
I'm in.
I've got a bad feeling about this.
Oh yeah.
Wait a minute. That's a Star Wars thing, right?
Don't get cocky, kid.
What else they got? Being a nerd for something that not that nerdy. That's funny.
Yeah.
So it's like I guess someone being like they're into Star Wars or Game of Thrones, but they're calling them a nerd in the movie when really everyone in the world.
I was like, everyone watches that and loves
it's
it.
so pop culture now.
What's this one?
English, please.
Do you speak it?
What do you say when someone says something you don't quite understand? Do you politely ask them to repeat it, or do you make some quippy remark that's been in every hacker movie since the dawn of time?
That is true. He's like, I have just hacked in and reversed the neutron flow to get the singular polarity. And the guy's like, can you put that in English
please?
for me?
Geniuses
And he's
who
like,
know
I'm in.
everything. Hey, here's your Kit Boy
Yeah.
genius thing.
Oh man.
Or this is talking about like Dr. House, I guess, where the people who know like everything.
He's there to just explain
like-
what's going on
Yeah,
for
it's
that
like,
episode.
instead of just being great in their field of study, they just basically know everything.
I feel like that's
Oh.
bad writing more than anything.
There's no time to explain. Corridor actually made a short film on this that's really funny.
If these characters just took 10 seconds to... Dude, okay.
Yeah, that's my-
This one reminds me of one where it's like, if someone is behind them, instead of just saying it, they'll be like, oh, wait, and they're like, hey, we don't have time for this. And they're like, but there's a... Hey,
Yeah, we need to make a movie where it's like someone's just really drawing it out.
No, we don't have time for this, you know?
You're like, I have all day. Please tell me.
It's literally like, I don't know, it's dumb.
What is
Deus
this
Ex Machina.
Is that
I
like
guess when something
Cyberpunk?
just it's when a Deus Ex Machina is when something comes in and it like completely resolves any issue. You know, it's like it's what you were talking about with Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Oh.
When you
So-
have like something that it's just an item or some person just comes in and resolves
Yes.
it instantly.
Okay, so instead of
Hate
the
it.
character finding their way out of
Yeah.
it.
It's like they have this piece of equipment. It's like in Endgame, he's like, oh, I figured out time travel. No big deal. I'm smart. And I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
It's like, no. And
Awesome.
like all of his
Well, I mean-
nanotechnology when he's at that thing. And he's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I can just make the suit just appear on my body now.
Yeah.
In defense of Endgame, if they took the time to figure out time travel in that movie, it would have been like 5 hours. You know, it's a long enough movie.
It
as
is, dude. It is a long movie already.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a good one to go out on.
Yeah.
That was a pretty good list.
Yep.
So if you have some movie cliches, let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear some more.
Yes. Or video game cliches if you're feeling really frisky.
If you're feeling really adventurous. Cool. All right. Well, thanks so much for listening. This has been a fun podcast.
Yeah. Episode 9.
Episode 9. We'll be back.
Episode.
I think we believe the next episode we should have a special guest.
Yeah, so stay
in.
tuned.
Tune in for episode 10. Thanks, guys. See ya.
Bye.